Welcome to Beyond the Trade. I am your host, Angel Thomas, and today we have the First Lady of Solar. We have Lauren Peters with us today, the Managing Director of Nuance Solar. So tell me something, how did you get into this field?
Okay, hi Angel. Thank you for having me at the interview at NESC. So getting into this field started a long time ago. I actually studied electrical and instrumentation back in school after finishing my sciences in secondary school. So getting into the field of electrical and instrumentation, my background in electrical engineering, working out in the field in Point Lisas, and just getting a hands-on for science, power, renewables. That is how everything started. The work industry, I did work in ArcelorMittal, and we know that eventually closed down. Yeah. And from that retrenchment, I went on to TSTT, and then that closed down. But the experience with TSTT, I was in DC Power, and being all over to the cell sites, being all over in remote areas, that is where I saw the opportunity for renewable energy. Correct.
So, given your experience, what are some of the challenges you would have experienced or encountered in the field in renewable energy itself?
There's a lot of challenges, and it starts with awareness, education, and what type of equipment is out there and the cost of the equipment for individuals and clients to use. So that is some of the challenges that we face in the business. So we have to take a primary approach to letting people understand the benefits of renewable energy.
And what are some of the, how to put it, skills or characteristics someone should inherit or at least possess to make make waves in this industry? I mean, it's renewable energy. It's not something that's have always been around. It's new, but relatively new. So what are some of the characteristics that one should have to become successful in this trade?
Well, renewable energy have always been there. It is something that we see and we feel and experience at all times. But the knowledge about it is relatively new in our education system. And we have to learn more about energy efficiency before we switch over to renewable energy. And that is what we see in terms of energy education first.
And okay, so someone who would have studied, especially here at NESC where we have a renewable energy program, what are some of the job opportunities they can expect to get when they reach out there?
So I would tell individuals, if they're getting into the field, you have to know the basics. Electrical installation, electrical and electronics design, and technology. You have to learn something called AC theory, which is alternating current first, because that is what we use at home and in our industry before you go into DC power, direct current. And then after learning about those basics, then you can get into renewable energy.
Okay, that is understandable. And as you mentioned, the AC and the DC, the difference between them, what are some of the misconceptions or misunderstandings that people tend to have about renewable energy?
That is free. I will get down to the point that you need equipment in order for everything to work. So one of the misconceptions is that it's free energy, but you have to have the storage first or something to capture that energy. So where we would get from the grid, and we would basically rent electricity from the grid from our suppliers, which is TNTech, and they produce from power. Well, they get their power from PowerGen. You are basically producing your own energy with your equipment. So getting the solar panels in case of our terms of renewable energy, or if you want to use the wind turbines, those are ways that you can generate it, but then you also have to store it in some type of way. So you store that in batteries. and then you use from DC power to AC. Yes, from an inverter.
Okay, nice.
So they have to understand that it is not just solar panels going to power up something. It is a lot of equipment and installation, correct installation, that has to go in place.
So spread some light on me for the converter, right? I know there's the solar panels themselves,
Yes.
there's the inverter, there's the batteries, there's the charge controller.
Yes.
The charge controller, what is the main function?
So the charge controller, it goes with the rate of charge, how the batteries are going to charge from the solar panels and discharge to your equipment. And then the inverter is where it changes from DC to AC to power appliances.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, by all means, you are dealing with electricity. So what are some of the safety factors or concern that one should take into consideration when dealing with renewable energy itself? Yes, you may say, okay, it's renewable energy, but it's still electricity.
Oh, yes. So you are producing electricity in the form of DC current, which is a little more risky than AC current. And the safety factors of installing renewable energy system, let's start with the basics where we use the real estate on the roof. So you have to get rid of the fear of heights, climbing on the roof, the angles and slopes of the roof, installing the racking, right? And then with the production of electricity and then going to batteries, there are high current startups, the equipment, if you don't put the proper grounding or earthing, those are some risks that you just can't just go and install by yourself, and you need someone that is qualified and know what they're doing. So those are some simple risks of not getting electrical shock from the equipment, but being safe and not allowing your home to be gutted by fire.
Yeah, I definitely will endorse that. But okay, so here at NESC, we highly encourage our students to be or have an entrepreneurial mindset. So what are some of the challenges one may encounter or may not encounter in trying to pursue or go into this business after they finish here or graduate with us?
Well, there's a bit of saying that entrepreneurs are born and they're selected from birth.
Yeah.
Right? So you really have to have that tenacity to do something different, to stand above the edge and continually going, because the fluctuation in money, finances may happen when you're an entrepreneur. And then the know-how, how to get business done.
Yeah.
So, becoming an entrepreneur within the renewable energy industry, sourcing the equipment, knowing what equipment that can be used, the costing, you have to have some type of financing or savings to get, the startup of being an entrepreneur. But beyond that, you have set your goals, your SMART goals.
Yeah, definitely.
And, get the right team behind you.
I think that team aspect is really important.
Always.
Yeah. So what advice would you give someone that is interested in coming to do our program or on the whole generally in starting a career in renewable energy? What advice would you give someone?
If you have the interest in making a difference in the environment, if you have the interest in doing something that can help people access power better, learn the electrical installation, because I do believe that you all offer those courses first.
We do, yeah.
And then get into the study of renewable energy. There's so much, the technology is growing fast. From charge controllers where you had them separate and the inverters separate, there are hybrid inverters happening now, grid-tied ones, the ones that online that you can check for your phone, how much energy that you're producing. The technology changes fast, but is what works here in our country. That is the knowledge that you have to have.
As I mentioned, our country, in Trinidad and Tobago, what would you say would be some of or the main obstacle that we face in accepting renewable energy?
The education, energy efficiency, understanding to conserve and not to consume too much power. I mean, we all want to be comfortable, right? The
Definitely.
AC is there. We want the hot water. We want to use everything to feel relaxed in our environment.
Yeah.
right? But then that equates to a high electric bill, so then you're going to have to work more to pay those bills. So they're going to have to learn to conserve more, energy efficiency education, not just, change the way how you do things. Yeah, just try to get more involved in smart equipment. If you can't remember to turn off certain things, you have your smartphone, set the timers, and then teach the children to have that kind of conservation habit happening.
Yeah, I mean, by all means with the technology, because I mean, we're in the 21st century and technology is evolving around us every day.
Yeah.
A simple thing as motion sensors, as light switches. You're in a room 1 minute, you leave the room in a 15-minute span of time. When there's no activity, the lights comes off automatically, right? You personally, what would you say would have been one of your largest or biggest projects or accomplishments within the industry?
It has been 5 years since Nuance Solar has been launched, and I say from since 2019, I've had some surprises. But I have had many major success, which was I had the opportunity to go to Jamaica to train 19 women in solar, and they eventually had one of the largest solar farms in Jamaica. So they got the funding after we trained them in renewable energy. Another major project that we had was the innovation of the solar doubles van. And that shows that, okay, you can use this equipment for modern things that is happening. You can use them off-grid, and you can be able to push the generator to the side and use something quiet and better for the environment.
Definitely.
Another project that is coming on stream is our elementary or primary school education kits that would be launched soon. And a lot of people are looking forward for that STEM kit.
Would you mind expressing some more or elaborating further on this kit?
The young minds are impressionable. And in order for our future to become, more sustainable, we train them on how renewable energy works. We train them, it's a kit that they're going to build with a house and see how solar systems, how it's mounted, how it's installed. And they have their curriculum for Ministry of Education. They also have a part in the kit that have wind energy. So they get to see it firsthand, build it, and build their practical and their learning skills at the same time.
That's actually really good, because I mean, when you hear, at least when I hear renewable energy, the first thing my mind goes to is solar power.
Yes.
What I mean by all means, there's also wind turbine.
Correct.
So I guess I don't have any training, but I actually look forward to seeing this kit come into play.
Oh yeah.
So tell me something. What exactly, if you give me like an idea, what does energy conservation look like at your household at the moment?
So right now I'm transitioning into a 5-acre estate that's totally off-grid. That we're going to merge agriculture and living off-grid. And how it looks like, I am going to be building a bus, right? There is this PTSD bus that I'm going to be living in, put on all the solar panels, have my solar water heater, living off grid. So that is how it looks like right now for my transition into renewable energy.
So we are typically aware or accustomed to turning on your lights, paying an electricity bill. I mean, why go off grid?
Well, living off grid was always a lifestyle for me, right? It's nothing new. I actually was shocked that people consume more than, what I'm used to. And I'm just trying to show people that you can be independent. You can grow your own food. You can use your own energy. You can conserve and make yourself comfortable and your family. So it's nothing new, or it's not a new idea, but it's just something different that I want people to adapt to. Right? And of course, as you work, you get to save your money. You're responsible for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
So let's say we have some solar panels, right? How exactly is the transition going to take place where you have your regular power supply from Tiantec, but you also have solar panels and that being stored away in batteries? How is that transition or how does the transition take place from the solar to the regular power supply?
So right now there are no type of legislation to feed back to the grid or to have, well, grid-tied systems in Trinidad. So having a standalone or isolated supply just for the solar panels, that would be introduced into a sub-panel. Oh. So you get dual supply from TNTech, so you get the grid supply, and then you will have a standalone supply from the solar system. And we urge a lot of people to get equipment that are certified, and also, if you can, for new installations, get inspected from Inspectorate, so that they know that through their code you have systems that are safe and you're able to leave your home and you be comfortable. Yeah.
All right, Ms. Lauren, well, it was nice having you today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas.